All right, so waiting for the first people to come in. I decided to do a live stream on the 3D artist interview process as promised. Pretty recent when I did a video on that, and a number of people asked me to do a live stream. Okay, so yeah, it looks like we've got 2 people on board. Just got started. 6. There you go. Keep in mind, guys, that we do want to stay on topic. All right. So any questions you might have about the interview process, about talking to potential employers, about how you need to prepare, that kind of stuff, right? So, hey, Chuck. So whenever you guys ready, fire off some questions, okay? So, well, you're welcome, Chuck. Well, my Russian isn't great, so I have no idea what you just said, but let's say it's, let's hope it's positive. All right. Okay, guys, well, we got 20 people and counting, kind of cool. Like I said, the topic for today is talking about the interview process. As a 3D artist, as an upcoming 3D artist, what are you to expect? What do you deal with? What kind of questions will you get? So any questions you guys might have, bring it on. Any concerns, any issues, any questions you want to ask me? And if I don't see any questions pop up, I'll just talk about the general process. Okay, so I'll give you guys a sec. Right, well, while you guys are thinking about that, so in general, and this is something that I talk about a lot with people, when you are studying to become a 3D artist, it's very important to incorporate things like sales, marketing, PR, business development, revenue, finance, all that kind of stuff. Now, every time I say that, people say, well, what are you talking about? I'm a 3D artist. Well, you're not just a 3D artist, you are a business, right? And you need to make ends meet. You need to make the numbers work. And the more you can show a potential employer that you have a good business sense, the more valuable you will be to them. I'll give you an example. An employer is interested in your output, of course, you know, what you create and so forth. But they are also interested in how you will be able to help them grow or improve their business, right? So let's see, got some questions coming on. Is Maya using the industry for rigging and general animation or other powerful? Well, that's a legit question. It's not related to the topic, so I'm going to leave it at that. I do want to stay on topic for this, guys. So we're talking about the interview process, candidates, employers, and so on. Okay. Okay, let's see. Raghu is saying Indian want to work abroad. Okay, so when it comes to working abroad, let me talk about that a little bit. There seems to be an assumption that if you want to work as a 3D artist, you have to be on location. And that is not always the case. Even so, it's more and more not the case. Basically, you have a couple of scenarios. You can work, let's say, for a studio, either on a project base or fixed. But even when you're working for a studio, you can very often work remote. So it doesn't really matter where you're at. What matters is that you're productive, that your work is good, and that you can get the job done. So when there's a project going on, let's say a movie or a game development, it's very common to have a virtual team. I've seen people working from Madrid, working from Bangalore, working from Quebec, Montreal, and also from California. And they work all together on a same project. That basically means that when you're in an interview process, they are interested to know whether you have the ability to work remote, right? Do you have the drive to push yourself to still be productive, even if you are working in your home, okay? Okay, so like I said, again, I'm going to stay on topic. So all the stuff that's not related to the interview process, I'm going to skip for now. Let's see. Is working as a freelance 3D artist a good idea? Well, I mean, you're asking a freelance 3D artist, so I'm not going to say no, right? There are some benefits here. First of all, what's the alternative of not working as a freelance artist? That is working, let's say, on a contract for a studio. Now, why would you want to do that? You want to do that because you want job security. But how much job security are you going to get? I mean, best case scenario, you're going to be hired for a project that takes, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. When the project is done, so are you, even when you are working for a studio, in a lot of cases, right? Now, that means that after that period, you have to go out and find another job, right? And but if you're working freelance, what you do is you make sure that you have a lot of different income streams. So I will sell 3D models. I'll do a 3D logo for a local store here. I'll do some consultancy work and so on and so forth. So if you have, let's say, 10 or 20 different income streams, and you're actually working for a studio like that as a freelance, and that job is done, you don't have to worry about where's my next paycheck going to come from, right? So that's the flexibility. The problem is, though, that it's so much harder to make ends meet, because you and you alone have to get out there, find the next job, find the next paycheck, and work on that every day. So you're a business owner. That's the big difference, okay? So Chuck, I see you writing a lot of Russian stuff, Cyrillic, and I can't read that. So sorry, buddy, I can't apply to that. Let's see. So Raghu is saying he's staying in Bangalore. There you go. Good. More questions about shaders and whatnot. I'm not going to get into that. So Rebby Games is saying, any tips for applying for an interview for internship? It's okay, Chuck. So first of all, when it comes to internships, you have different types, right? You have like a 1 week internship, which will kind of give you the opportunity to look into their kitchen, if you know what I mean. You will have, let's say, an internship over a period of a number of months, where they kind of, have you trained internally, and that's usually a good stepping place for a fixed job at some point, right? Now, first of all, when you apply for an internship, find out what the internship is for, in the sense that they have an expectation. They need an intern because they have a problem that needs to be fixed. You need to have a very, very good understanding what they expect from that intern, right? And based on that, you will know whether it's worth your while to invest your time, because typically you won't be paid. And will it give you something in return? Will you get the experience you're looking for? Will you get the knowledge you're looking for? So do your homework. Find out who is asking for the intern. What type of company is it? What products do they make? What products have they made in the past? Do you know anyone working there that started off as an intern, and how did they become a fixed employee and so forth? So do your homework, right? Let's see. Again, guys, I'm seeing a lot of Cyrillic stuff that I can't read. Okay, so very good question. Dress code: wear a suit or find a smart casual midpoint? I would definitely do not wear a suit. I mean, come on, you're an artist, right? I wouldn't say you have to have pink, blue, and orange hair and a ring through your nose, but why wear a suit? You're not an office person, right? And is it okay to express yourself? Of course. When I go to an interview, I wear jeans and a t-shirt on my sneakers, right? Now, I wouldn't wear a t-shirt with a bleeding skull on it or anything like that, which I typically would do, right? But, just keep it semi-professional, if you will. If you are working in a place where you have a bunch of people working in 3D, don't expect to see people there wearing a suit. I would even go as far as to say, if you wear a suit to an interview, you will probably not get the job, right? I mean, would you buy an electric guitar because you play in a rock band from a guy wearing a suit and tie? I wouldn't. I want to buy a guitar from a guy that has hair up to his ass, right, and is smoking a joint while he's selling me the cigar or the guitar. Okay, let me see here. Good question. What is the basic idea of question asked on interviews for an artist? Okay, let me get into that a little bit. Every question, and I told you this in the video that I did recently, every question you get from a potential employer basically revolves around one thing and one thing only, and that is value, right? What is your value to them, right? They're going to pay you money. They want money in return, and the money that they get in return is based on your input. That results in a product, that results in sales, that results in continuity, and they get to be a company for another week, year, 10 years, or 50 years, right? So every word that comes out of your mouth, directly or indirectly, it has to do something with how you can add value to their bottom line, right? So if they ask, can you model this or can you model that? Typically, what people start to do is explain how they model something. What you need to tie into is, that they have multiple people working in a process, that your answer is tied into, I'm used to working in a team. I work in the side of a process. I make sure things are fast, they're efficient, they're productive, and they're ready to go and make money for you, right? That's what they're going for. Do you need to be skilled as an artist? Of course you need to be skilled as an artist. That's a given. So you don't really have to talk about that unless it's an issue, right? Now, if they have an issue because they think your quality isn't good, you're probably not going to be there in the first place. If they do think your quality is good for, let's say, a junior position, but you believe you want a more senior position, then talk about how fast you can learn, how fast you can develop, okay? Okay, so Hesam is saying, how can I show modeling skill in my portfolio? The best way to show it. Well, depending on what kind of artist you are, let's say you're an environmental artist, right? What you want to do is kind of take a potential employer with you in the process of how you approached the project, right? So if you have a mountain landscape, maybe show some shots of your reference. What did you use? What was your inspiration? From a photo, from a painting, from a magazine, or whatever, right? Then you show maybe a shot of your directory structure to show them that you work organized and you can find stuff back, right? That's important because if you got multiple people working in a team and you are completely disorganized and you pass your work on to the next person, they have no idea what's what, right? So show that you work structured. Every piece you put on ArtStation, line it up in the same way. So low poly mesh, high poly mesh, texture maps, UV maps, breakdown, 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 breakdown. And be very, I would say, almost scientific about it, right? Okay, so Jay Patel is saying, which industry is good for a CG artist with some VFX skills, gaming industry or movie industry? Well, I mean, some VFX skills is a very, very wide range, right? I mean, I have some VFX skills. If you want to work in that industry, you have to have a lot of VFX skills. You have to be a pro, right? Now, when it comes to game industry versus the movie industry, the trend right now is that the movie industry is moving more and more and more VFX effects, right? They're even replacing actors with CG now, right? So that's where I see everything booming. But then again, if you're going to go down that road, you have to be really, really, really good, okay? So let's see what else. Game student currently and like to apply for a placement internship. Should I make models and textures for folks on making a range of meshes? Well, when you're working for an internship, first of all, you show what you're good at, right? So only post your best work. My advice is to always show your workflow. It's better to show one model with every step in the process than just have 25 final render shots with no breakdown. I want to know what you're capable of. You can have a pretty final render where your mesh is horrible. I can't see that because I can't see the wireframe. I don't know how you got to that point, right? So be really structural about it and then go from starting point, reference image, your layout, what your directory structure is like, nice, organized, clean meshes, no n-gons, nice topology, nice flow. Next step, low poly, high poly, all your maps, your ambient occlusion map, and so on and so forth, all the way to the final thing, okay? So Shiva, you're saying that I skipped your question. I skipped a lot of questions because there's so many on the screen. So please repeat, what's your question? And while you do that, let's see. Sergio is saying, fulfilling your portfolio and making you active on social media, is that enough to someday have a chance to get an interview? And how can you create your own modeling type? Okay, well, is social media important? It is critically important. For example, if you want to buy something, whatever, right? A new radio, a new phone, a new whatever, right? What you're going to do is you're going to look online, right? So if I have a game studio or I'm a movie producer or director and I need a 3D artist, where am I going to look? Online, right? Where will I typically look? Online? On ArtStation, because that's where you find 3D artists. So it's always a good thing to have work on ArtStation. But that's not enough. Having stuff on ArtStation is fine, but there are thousands of people that have stuff on ArtStation. So you need to treat your ArtStation as your business website, right? Meaning that A, it has to look great, right? But B, you have to promote your ArtStation on social media, okay? So what you do is you would have a new piece on ArtStation, you would share that on Facebook. You would maybe write a blog about how you got to that end result, who collaborated in that effect, the people from other companies or other individuals that you work with, and so forth. Now, keep in mind, being successful on social media is almost a full-time job. You need to be doing this every hour of every day and repeat and repeat and repeat. I recently had a chance to talk to a senior animator at Pixar. And he basically started off like all of us, right? As a teenager with an idea that he wanted to do this. And the reason why he made it to senior animator at Pixar is because he never gave up. He kept on going, kept on going, kept on going, right? And don't hope about stuff, do stuff, okay? Right, so Shiva wrote his question. Let's see, I have completed Bachelor of Multimedia, learned only Maya, Photoshop, and Illustrator. I'm perfect in modeling and technical, that's it. Is this enough for a job, or are my skills not enough? Well, I haven't seen your work, so I can't judge on that. I would be careful with any statement saying that you're perfect in something, because nobody's perfect in anything. If you use that phrase in an interview, you're done. You're going to be outside of that building like in seconds, right? Because the attitude of anybody being perfect in anything, they don't like that. If you're not open to learn from people that have more experience or whatnot, not a good thing, okay? So anyway, you have experience in Maya, Photoshop, and Illustrator. Would that be enough? Well, it all depends on who's looking for somebody. If you have a company that's looking specifically for a prop modeler and you can work in Maya, you should be okay. Will you have more chances if you can work in Substance Painter and ZBrush and 3D Code and Quixel and all that kind of course, that's obvious, right? Okay, let's see. Watch all. Okay, starting. Okay, so Christian MH. I love those initials, MH. Can someone starting to study 3D World, can you get that first job? What's the minimum they ask and need to know to start working? Again, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of employers. I personally once hired a person like in 1 minute. They came into the room and I thought, hey, this is a cool person. I want to work with this person, right? I didn't even see his resume. I had no idea. This guy just had a cool vibe, right? And I thought, why not, right? Why give somebody a chance? Why not? So that can happen. I've also had interview selection processes that took 4 full days with 200 candidates. That's the opposite. So everything in between is possible. Okay. Now, depending on how much or how little you know, that's not always the issue. The issue is, are you worth your value? So if you start off in a low-paying job with limited experience, but you work hard and you're willing to show that and willing to stay late and work hard and improve your skills fast, they will give you chances. Now, one thing I didn't say yet is one thing that's extremely important in 3D as a business as a whole is respect. Now, I said this in previous live streams. If you go to an interview for an internship, for a job or whatnot, chances are you're talking to somebody who went through the same process as you did, but 20 years longer, right? They worked their butts off for 20 years to get where they are. Now, if you go into that interview with this cocky attitude that you know everything and you're perfect and you're great and whatnot, they're going to shut you down in seconds, right? Be open to the fact that you're there to learn, that you're there to grow, and you'll be fine. Okay, let's see, what else? So Bear is saying he's using Blender, Photoshop for modeling. Now, the thing is, if you use Blender or anything else for that matter, whether it's open source free software or not, it really doesn't matter that much unless you're using with something that the studio is not using. But more and more people work on a professional level using Blender, and they're completely fine. Actually, every year I speak at the Animator Awards, and there are a lot of prize winners there that actually use Blender. Okay, let's see. What else, guys? Questions about... Okay. How long would an average interview last? Hopefully long. And what do I mean by that? If your interview takes 5 minutes, then that's not a good thing. Now, I'll tell you something that's personal, but I'm really serious about this. I literally interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people. And what people never tell you is the people that's interviewing you makes up his mind within the first minute that you're in the room, right? And then the rest of that 1 hour interview is either to confirm or break down that conviction, right? So if I see somebody walking into the room, I'll have this feeling, yes, this is the person that I want to hire, right? And then after 15 minutes, I'm like, skills is not great, but it's a perfect person, whatever. And the next 59 minutes will go one way or the other, right? Okay, let's see what else. Is the interview face-to-face conversation or any practical test? Usually 3 forms, depending on where you live. It's usually a remote or a Skype interview or even email exchange. Well, you get an email asking you questions about, where did you get your education? Why are you in 3D and so forth? And this is another one. When people ask you, why are you in 3D? Think about that answer. Somebody is going to ask you at some point, right? So it can be an email, it can be a Skype thing, usually followed by a practical test. So can you model something for me? And then finally, you have the face-to-face discussion. Let's see. I'm trying to understand the next question here. Why nobody hires fresher as 3D artists or much as other posts? So Sharaf, I'm trying to understand your question, but I'm sorry, buddy. I don't really understand what you're asking here. Okay, so good-looking honky, Peter North here, old porn star. Love the stream. Well, thanks, man, and good luck with your occupation. What kind of portfolio is better, and what kind of question do they ask? Okay, so what kind of portfolio is better? I assume you're talking about landscape, environments, character modeling, that kind of stuff. There's not one better than the other. It's just what's your thing, right? And you can ask, though, what's more common. Now, good environmental artists, they're sought after. VFX artists, they're sought after. When it comes to character modeling, if you're crazy good at it, right, that's a lot of value there right away, right? The questions that they ask, like I said before, is basically all around why. Why are you in 3D? Why do you work the way you do? Why do you approach things in a certain way? They want to understand how you as a person fit into their business and will fit into their workflow, and how you will help them to generate money. Now, I know it's not all about money, right? But in fact, it is. And I'll explain. Hey, Angelique. Nederlandse, denk ik. Sorry, guys, that was Dutch. So that's pretty important. And you need to kind of stay true to yourself. You're in 3D for a reason. You have a preference for a reason. Don't go and do stuff because other people want that, right? If environmental modeling is your thing, make sure you're the best one there is, right? Let's see, where's the job location? Well, everywhere. So can I, that's a nice question. So why am I in the 3D field? Nice, okay. All right, so why am I in 3D? Well, first of all, I started in 2D, actually, in 2D graphic work and 2D animation around 1981, right? So that's kind of a while back. But I was also heavily into computers, so building computers and writing code and writing software. And I did that because there wasn't any software available, right? So if I wanted software, I had to create it myself, okay? So I've been doing that and doing that and doing that. And during that time frame, I started to follow the developments at George Lucas and the whole Star Wars things. That was, you know, late 70s, early 80s. And they started to use CG for that. And then John Lasseter, and you probably know who that is, right? He got fired at Disney and he hooked up with the George Lucas team and they started Pixar, right? And I thought, well, they're doing this stuff with computers. This is awesome. So I started to get into that and I started to develop that. Kind of got sidetracked for a long while doing a whole different thing. And then as I was working for a consultant, as a business consultant, I saw more and more companies transitioning into the 3D space. And as a 3D artist, I thought, well, why not combine these two things and do consultancy work as a 3D artist? So I would go to companies and explain to them how to set up their 3D workflow. But I would also tell them what they need to look for when they hire 3D artists. And that's how I kind of rolled into the full-time thing of 3D. And once I did that, I decided, well, I want to give back to people who didn't have the opportunity or don't have the opportunity to get formal education. So that's why I started the YouTube channel, and that's why I do this. So let me know if that answers your question, okay? Let's see. So somebody's saying he looks far younger than he should. What does he eat? Who are you talking about? Me? That's good, inspiring. So I live in Africa. Any opportunities of work in international studios? Oh, yes, for sure. No problem. Let's see, what else? Okay, so let me ask you this, though. Has any of you been to an interview where you ran into trouble? And do you have any questions about that and what you would need to do different the next time? Let's see. Jensen is saying, which would you say is the most difficult, gets paid more job in 3D? Environmental artist, lighting artist, rendering artist, animation artist, rigging artist, or modeling. Animation artist is number one for sure. A good animator is worth his or her weight in gold, right? Because it is extremely difficult to learn. Next runner-up, though, believe it or not, is a lighting artist. Okay. Let's see what else. I got a whole lot of Cyrillic stuff going on, and I think people are just chatting with each other or something. I have no idea, but I can't read it, so sorry, guys. Okay, so read apology. So I get a question here to review portfolios. I'll tell you, I have a list of portfolios that will take me 2 years to review. So unfortunately, I cannot do that. Okay, guys, what else? Interview stuff. Worst interview ever, best job you got ever, and so forth. Okay, so Nehul, I hope I pronounced that right, is saying, got to start classes on Grayscale Gorilla, want to be an animator, give me some help. Well, I can give you some advice. When you want to be an animator, and people at Disney once said this, an animator back then was basically an actor with a pencil, right? That hasn't changed. Well, maybe the pencil changed and now you got a computer, but believe it or not, being an animator is all about storytelling, right? And besides storytelling, you have a computer and software that will help you to do that. But what's number one is the storytelling. And you need a lot of life experience to understand how people talk and move and react and so forth. So if you want to become an animator, watch movies, read books, go to theaters, listen to singers, do a lot of things outside the realm of just 3D, okay? Let's see. Do you do one-on-one mentorship? Yes, I do. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Patreon. I have a Patreon page where people can become a patron. And basically what they do is they support me financially so I can keep on going and do my YouTube videos. But there is one level of patronage which includes one-on-one tutorship or mentorship, basically consultancy. That's a platinum level. It's $50 a month. For that, you get a 1-hour Skype private session every month where I talk about any 3D related topic you want. I'll help you with interviews. I'll help you with your work. I'll help you with whatever's going on, right? Let's see. Which type of components you want from people after interview? Okay, so when interview starts, which type of components you want from people after interview, what happens? Okay, now typically, and I'm going to break this down from a larger to a smaller company. Okay, so in a large company, you will have somebody that needs a 3D artist for something. Okay, so let's say I'm working for a studio with 200 employees, right? I'm in charge. I'm a director of photography for an animated project, and I need a lighting artist. What I will do is I will go to my HR professional, so my human resources manager or whatever, and I'll tell the human resource manager, listen, I need a lighting artist. And the human resource manager will say, okay, give me a profile of the person you want. So give me the specifications. How much experience should this person have? What kind of skill sets? What kind of software? What kind of experience? And so forth and so on. And then what the human resource person will do is they will go into their network, people that they know, agencies that they work with, maybe post something on ArtStation and whatnot, and they will go out and look for potential candidates. Now, let's say 20 people reply, right? They will do an initial screening, and then out of these 20 people, they'll maybe send an email to 7 and say, okay, send me your portfolio, send me this, send me that, whatever, and all of this is email, right? Out of 7, maybe 4 are left. These 4 are invited to do a Skype interview with a human resource person. Now, this is not a 3D artist. So keep in mind that this is a whole different conversation, okay? If you as a 3D artist are talking to a human resource person, even though they're working at a 3D company, they don't know what it is to be a 3D artist. So don't assume, right? You need to explain how things work to an extent, okay? Now, finally, that person will say, okay, out of these 4 people, I got 2 that are available, right? These 2 are introduced to the person that asked for the artist in the first place, and this person will have, let's say, a one-on-one discussion with these 2 people. And then after the fact, you most likely either get a phone call saying, well, thanks for the effort, but you're not it, right? Or you get a phone call saying, well, thanks for the effort, you're it. Come in and let's talk about contract and money and so forth. Hopefully that explains. Let's see, follow-up question about one-on-one mentorship. Am I eligible if Blender is my main software for animation? Typically, when I do consultancy, it's not about this button in Blender or that button in Maya. It's more about mentorship to you as a 3D artist, how you view the industry, how you approach a project, how you set up a project, how you work with other people, how you build your personal brand, and so forth, okay? So it's not that I'm going to teach you Blender, if that's your question. Okay, so Jay is saying you should have a very pro skill in VFX to work in the movie industry, but in gaming, lots of cutscenes are built with VFX, so some VFX builds are good enough. Well, I'm not saying if your VFX skills are okay-ish, that nobody's going to hire you. What I'm saying is it's very competitive out there. Even people that are crazy skilled have a hard time getting a job, right? So it helps you to focus on getting better, right? And working on that every day, not because you have to, but because you want to. It has to be your passion, right? Can you get a job? Of course you can get a job. Is that going to be the job? Probably not. So that's what I'm saying, right? Let's see. Sunsheet is saying, can you apply for an interview for doing internship in some profound studios? Sure. I mean, if you live nearby the Pixar studio, right, I would drive them nuts. I would send them emails. I would knock on their door 4 times a day. I would do whatever it took. I would bring them coffee, bring them donuts, walk somebody's dog. I don't care. I would do whatever I had to do, right, to get in the door. And if they say, well, we got an internship that's for 3 days picking up trash in our building, great, I'll do it, right? And you just have to be willing to do what you have to do. Let's see, is software a big deal? Well, it can be. And I'll get back to what I was talking about before with the whole HR person and all that kind of stuff. That's a big company, right? Now, let's go to a small company. Hi, Anna. Hey, buddy. So small company, let's say studio, 3-4 people, the process is quite different. You're probably talking directly to the person that's hiring you, right? So you apply, they get a lot of applications. So probably 8 out of 10 times they're going to say no. But let's say you get lucky and they invite you, right? Probably that will be a lengthy process. They'll give you something to do as kind of proof that you have skills, and you could be there for hours in a row. And it's usually a one-time thing. They don't do a second and a third and a fourth. You're either in or you're out. Let's see, do internships help? Of course they help. I mean, if you have an internship, if you worked for Pixar, even if it's like for an hour, you worked at Pixar, right? And it's not just about the name Pixar, because I met quite a few people from Pixar. It's about the dedication and the passion you have to get into a place like that. So if you have worked there, it means that you have that drive. Now, this is an interesting question. Do I have to show up on the studio's door if they didn't respond to emails when applying for a job? Now, keep in mind, you don't want to stalk people, right? If you get annoying to the point that they call the cops on you, you're never going to work there ever. However, if you apply, let's say there's a job, right? They're looking for a lighting artist. You apply for the job. You send an email or whatever, or God forbid, a snail mail, right? Like writing on a piece of paper or whatever. And you apply for that and you get no reply at all. What is completely acceptable and legit is to call the company, right? Ask for whoever is responsible for that role. So an HR person or anybody, right? And if they ask, okay, why do you want to talk to that person? You say, well, I applied for the job. I didn't get any feedback. And I would like to ask whether I did something wrong in my application, whether I'm missing certain skills, because that can help me in my next interview for the next company. And they will perceive that, as a positive thing, right? And then you get your answer. And maybe because you're so persistent, they'll say, well, considering you're so adamant about that and you took the time to call us, we'll have a talk with you. You never know. I had that happen. Let's see. This is the best one. I must understand topology. Understand the 8 and 9 and what you're saying. Still not good at speaking and doing the company. Okay, so they've chosen a person who is not good at English. Okay, so have I ever hired anyone who was not fluent in English? Now, I'm going to be really honest here, and I'm going to say no. For the reason is that English is kind of the language worldwide. And if you are not able to communicate with a team, then you're going to have a tough time, right? Now, I'm not saying you should be fluent in English, but you need to be able to have a conversation, right? You need to be able to explain what's going on and you need to understand what the other person is saying. So I'm just being honest here, right? Okay, so let's see. How many samples for Arnold do you think? Okay, so how many samples for Arnold do you think is required for a good render? How many sample? Okay, that is totally off topic. I'm not going to go there. Sorry, buddy. Okay, preparing for portfolio, future job. I really don't know how to do it right. Well, I don't know how long you've been in this chat now. Basically, you'd rather take one project instead of 10 and break it down in an orderly fashion. What's your reference, low polymesh, high polymesh, UV layout, proper topology, clean maps, clean bakes. So they have a good understanding of what your workflow is, how you work, how you approach your work, okay? Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go, I would say, another 7 minutes or so. AA is asking, can I watch right now? This is going to be saved on my channel, so you can watch this whole thing, right? Okay, so Early Gamer is saying, for lighting, who only does lighting? What things should be considered media big data? Okay, well, first of all, who only does lighting? Lighting artists do lighting. That is a profession, and it's a very hard profession. I mean, that's a huge deal. If you understand light, you can make or break a scene, right? So that is a specialty, and I wish someday when I grow up that I can have the skill to become a lighting artist. Okay, interesting. If somebody's not happy with my price range and declines me, should I try to reach out again and renegotiate? On average, I would say no. I mean, your value is your value, right? Now, that's what I talked about earlier when I was talking about business value and all that kind of stuff, right? When you put a number on a table for your work, you usually don't just, come up with some number. It should be an educated number. It should be based on how many billable hours do you have in a week as a freelance artist, right? How much money do you have to make to survive, to pay for your software, your hardware, all kind of stuff. That will bring you down to a certain number per model, per project, per hour. Then you compare that to what is typical in the market space, right? Let's say you have to make $80 an hour, right? Somebody else says, well, I'll do it for 20. Well, that other person is an idiot, because a month from now, that person's out of business, right? So stick to your guns. If you say, this is what I need, I mean, you can negotiate in a different way, though. You can say, well, my rate's $80 an hour, but if you can guarantee me that I have 4 months of work for you, I'll bring it down to 70. That's what you can do, right? Let's see, guys. The advice remote location. Thanks for your channel. Love your tutorials. Thank you so much. Should I put my basic Houdini work in Showreel? I would, but I wouldn't mention that it's basic. Okay. Okay. So GZUZ. Jesus, I assume. Where can I ask off-topic questions? You can comment on my videos, on any relevant video, and if you comment, I'll respond to that. Well, long live to the MK channel. I don't know who MK is, but long live MK, and thank you. Love your videos. Many skills within Maya. I wanted to ask, could you view my portfolio? Well, like I said, I have so many that I need to review. I did that in a number of videos. Right now, I think, I don't know, I think I have something like 80 or 90 requests. So unfortunately, I can't do that. Okay, this is an interesting question from Michelle, I would say. Would you have a clever approach when you are very good skilled, but all the vacancies require 2+ years on the industry? Okay, now, I'll give you kind of a one-liner here that always works, right? And this is kind of off topic, but it's still relevant. I used to be and I still am, a certified fly fish instructor, both European and international. I had a fly fishing school, biggest fly fishing school in this part of Europe, and I spent a lot of years doing that, okay? Now, I would get students over, and they would say, I would say, how long have you been fly fishing? And it's 30 years. And I said, okay. And in any of those 30 years, were you good at it? I mean, doing it bad for 30 years doesn't make you good, right? So if people say, we need somebody with 2+ years experience, I would say, why? Why do you want people with 2 years plus experience? Well, because their work is better. Who says? That doesn't have to be the case at all, right? So the whole thing of I want 2+ years experience in the industry is kind of a stupid question. I want people that are good. I don't care if they have 1 week of experience or 50 years, right? So does that help? Okay, so many stuff going on, guys. Let's see. So Michelle, let me know if that answers your question, okay? Okay, so Michelle is saying 99% of jobs in ArtStation unfortunately request 2 years plus of experience. Okay, that's fine. However, if I see an ad like that, right, typically the person that puts that in an ad is somebody who is not a 3D artist. I talked before about the producer and the HR person and whatnot. That is typically something that an HR person will put in there, right? Kind of like, okay, that will put me in a certain range of people that will make it easier for my selection process, blah, 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 right? the thing there is it's not relevant, okay? And I would always challenge things when I don't think they're relevant. Now, you need to do that in a respectful way. The best way to do that is by asking another question. So if they say, okay, we're looking for somebody with 2+ years experience, you can say, can I respectfully ask you why? What do you want to achieve by adding that line to your experience? Well, because then the work's going to be better. Well, there you go. You can't prove that. So it's a stupid question. And of course, you're not going to say it's a stupid question, but, you know. Okay, so a comment here saying, I think the 2+ years experience is mostly used to scare people who are not confident of their work. Now, believe it or not, you're right, right? They do that. I mean, the thing here is this. In 3D art, and not only in 3D art, but in every profession, anywhere, ever, when you have a job opening, what people will do is they'll reach for the stars, okay? So if, let's say, I'm a junior manager at some company or whatever, right? I see a position for an executive level senior manager with 2 times my salary. I'm going to go for it, right? What do I care? I have nothing to lose. If I don't get hired, I still got my old job, right? So what people do is they go 2 steps above their comfort level to get a job, right? So if you ask for a junior artist, you're going to get somebody who never heard of 3D art, right? So if you ask for an artist with 2 years experience, you'll get applicants that have no experience. And that's basically what they want. But then again, you have enough confidence to go after it anyway. And that's what they're looking for. Hey, Francesco Ricci. Hey, buddy. Now, everybody pay attention to Francisco here and to Yana, because these guys are patrons and they support me and they're awesome. Let's see, better paying job, animator or modeling? In general, animator. Let's see, how many examples should be enough? Okay, in a good portfolio, I wouldn't go crazy on that. I would say nothing more than 10 and nothing less than 3. But anything you put in there, make sure that you have your very best work there and that your breakdown is proper, it's set up correctly, it looks great, and there's no crap going on, right? Okay, guys, well, we're at 52 minutes, 40 seconds. So let's do 1 exact full hour, okay? So we got about 7 more minutes to go. Okay, so Santiago is saying, I don't see much companies in where they need character artists, right? Now, the thing is this, and I see this going on all the time, right? People in 3D art tend to look at the movie industry and the gaming industry, right? And they look at Pixar and DreamWorks and whatever, and they say, okay, no jobs there and no job there, so I'm done. I don't have a job. What am I going to do, right? I mean, that's nonsense. Everybody and their uncle are using 3D now, right? The local bakery across the street here is using 3D because they got a 3D logo on their website, right? I'll give you an example that I always give. You probably all heard of the store called IKEA, right? The Swedish furniture thing, okay? Depending on where you live. Now, you can buy a closet called Bjorn or whatever, right? Now, the thing is this, when they have a catalog where they have a kitchen in there, right? They got like a kitchen in 20 different colors. You can have it yellow and blue and whatever. Do you really think they're going to build that kitchen, tear it down, put it in another one? No, they're going to have a CG artist, right? Model it in 3D and just change the color. So 3D artists are everywhere. Sports shoes, tennis rackets, shirt design, industrial applications, all of that stuff everywhere are 3D artists. So when you look for a 3D job, don't just look at game industry or movie industry. If you have that experience under your belt because you have been, I mean, I worked for toy companies. I worked for a company that created baby pacifiers where I made 3D models for them, right? Who cares? You're making money, you're getting experience, you're getting exposure. And with that experience, you will finally get the job you want, right? What's the best way or place to host a portfolio? Not quite sure what you mean by that. Let's see. Is it necessary to know a character modeling for a 3D artist? No. I mean, unless you're a character artist. Okay, so would it be better to have an ArtStation portfolio or a dedicated portfolio for companies? Now, you bet, Michelle. So the thing is this. Everybody is aware of ArtStation. Now, there's a technical reason why I would choose ArtStation over a personal website, and that is related to SEO, or search engine optimization. If you have a private website, first of all, it's going to cost you money, right? And ArtStation is free, so right? But besides that, let's say you get a domain and you build your own website, you spend a lot of money or whatever, and you put your about page and your portfolio and blah, 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 and you put all of that in there. Boom, done, okay? Now, Google is going to crawl your site at some point and find the content, right? And then give it a place on Google somewhere based on the refreshment rate of content. Now, you put your information on the website, that website hasn't been touched in 2 months. ArtStation is updated every second. So the ranking of an ArtStation page is way, way higher in Google than of personal space, right? So I would say definitely have an ArtStation page. And if you're getting good response and you're making money and you're a pro and you have individual clients or whatnot, then get a personal website, just so you got a good landing page for them, right? Let's see. The maximum time of a show reel. I would say about, well, depending on whether it's modeling or animation, but I would say nothing over 2 minutes. So suddenly we got a lot of stuff going on. Let's see. Appreciated. Green ArtStation thingy. Best laptop. Kind of off topic here. Does the software use matter as an artist? Because every company. Okay. Now the software thing is this. If you know how to work in Maya, they will get you up to speed on 3ds Max in like 1 day, right? No problem. Basically the same thing with Blender. I would say ZBrush is a different story, but for that, right? Now, if you're working for a studio and you have experience in Maya and they only have 3ds Max, usually they don't have a huge problem with that, right? Because they will get you up to speed. That will be okay, right? So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Let's see. Best approach for marketing an indie game. Interesting question. Okay, so you're all aware that social media is everything, right? I mean, everything nowadays is on TV. I think by the year 2025, we're not going to have TVs anymore, right? Everybody's going to be watching everything online, okay? So let's say you have an indie game. Well, first of all, you need to build a following, not once your game is done, but now. If you're going to take 2 years to build a game, start promoting it right now. Facebook, Twitter, Blogger, Tumblr, all that kind of stuff. And talk about the game, talk about the developments, and build a following. And, okay, we did this step, and we did that step, and we're going to have a first release in 4 months, in 3 months, in 2 months, all that kind of stuff. Then do a crowdfunding campaign, link that to an affiliate marketing campaign where other people will promote your crowdfunding campaign. And by the time you actually go live with the game, you have a huge following, right? Cinema 4D. Cinema 4D is still around. I don't hear it that much. I would say 3ds Max typically used for interior design, for architecture, that kind of stuff. Maya more used for props, animation, and so forth. Blender kind of used for both. And Cinema 4D, like I said, I don't hear that a lot. I'm not saying it's bad. It's good software, but I just don't know a lot of people that use it. Let's see. How can I become a self-taught animator? I know modeling and texturing. Well, spend 10,000 hours on it. And you might think I'm kidding. I'm not. Let's see. Doesn't matter application a job that is self-taught from online. Well, Kareem is saying, does it matter if you're self-taught or not? Well, keep in mind that in my experience, when I interview people, and I would say, okay, where did you get your formal education? Did you do your bachelor or your master's degree or whatnot? And people will typically do this, kind of self-taught, and it's kind of like they're ashamed of it or something. And to be honest, I mean, a formal education is awesome, but if you can do this without a formal education, that means that you worked your ass off, right? You worked day and night, 7 days a week, despite not having a formal education, and you're still sitting in that interview, right? So I would be very proud of this, and I would say it like that too. Okay, got time for one more question, guys. So let's put something on the screen, and I'll pick one, and we'll call it a day, right? Okay, and the question is, well, first of all, Michelle is saying Blender, Maya, or Max. If you have the option and you are into props and animation, I would say Maya. If you're into interiors, architecture, and so forth, I would say Max. Blender, still not top dog yet in the industry, but it would be okay, right? I was looking at another question here. Let me see. Let's look like that. Okay, so the question that I'm going to answer is this. I've been selected for lighting artist. What should I do to prepare for that? Well, first of all, what do you mean I have been selected for lighting artist? Does that mean that you're not a lighting artist and somebody asked to work for them as lighting artist? What are you saying? I don't understand. And I really want to answer that question. So I'll just, yeah. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so yes, I'm not a lighting artist. Well, if you're not a lighting artist and you've been selected for a lighting artist, then there's no chance of you getting hired for that. So that's not really a question. Let's see. Work review, mostly work full-time for companies. Tried a bit of freelancing a while back from home. It was really boring and unsocial for me. Okay. So the final question that I'm going to do, guys, is this, and I really hope I don't butcher your name, but it's Elod Horvat. I'm kind of guessing Scandinavia here, I hope. Let's see, mostly worked full-time for companies in office. Tried a bit of freelance a while ago, working from home. It was really boring and unsocial for me. How do you handle this matter? Okay, now, I worked for companies in office, and I work from home as well. Now, what you need to do is have a schedule. And I mean, you need to, I was going to say stimulate yourself, but that kind of sounds a bit, what you need to do is you need to basically treat your workspace as an office, right? So I have a certain time and a certain mindset when I turn on my PCs. I will not have private stuff on my desk, right? This is my workplace. I'm sitting here, I'm working here, and I have this routine that I do, right? I do email from this time to that time. I do comments online from this time to that time. I do promoting and so forth. And I make a schedule for myself. So because you change your activities so often during the day, you're doing new stuff all the time. And then also what I do is I never do modeling, for example, 3 or 4 days in a row. What I do is I do 3D stuff on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have a photography business that I do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Then on Saturdays, I do customer projects outside of the house, and Sunday is my day off. Okay, guys, 1 hour and 5 minutes. I'm going to call it a day. Thank you guys so much for your awesome questions. Like I said before, if you guys are interested in private tutorship, I do have a Patron page. And if you hang on, what I'll do is I'll post that in here. It's basically MH tutorials, okay? So you don't have to do the full Patron stuff. But if you do and you become a platinum patron, $50 a month, you get private Skype tutorship with me. But even $5 a month will get you guys early views to my videos. I'll share models with you guys, textures. You get priorities over questions and so on, right? Okay, so thank you all so much. Leonardo More, say hi to your son. Awesome. Thank you guys. Hopefully you guys will, I'll see you guys on my channel, in the comments on my videos. Don't be afraid to send me an email if you got any questions. Love you all to bits, and see you guys next time. Bye. Bye. I was trying to think about how many languages I can say goodbye in. Tot ziens, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, arrivederci, au revoir. Bye, guys.